All right. Hey, afternoon, YouTube. What's going on? Checking in, see if everybody's seen the burning down of the stock market. um, Thus, the title of the chat. Give people a minute to check in here. Just a lunchtime stop in. See if everybody survived their weekend somewhat. It was hot up here. We were out doing work yesterday and I just about couldn't stand it. It was like 85 degrees or something mad like that. You can have that business. I don't need no 85 degrees, if you know what I'm saying. Hey, Walter, what's going on? I'm not sure if the point of your video last night, Walter, was to say that you couldn't do it with one hand or if you just cut out. I wasn't sure what you were doing there. You know? Yeah, it's a pretty nice view. Are you, I guess you folks on the East Coast are wrapping up work for the day. Moving on down the highway. Anybody else checked in yet? Yeah, I couldn't do it while holding the phone. That's what I figured. You couldn't do it with one hand. Especially with a moving animal. It'd be one thing if it was just static and just standing there, but they don't do that, do they? It's already 80 degrees here today. So summertime is upon us, I guess. But yet in the forecast, they're talking about snow potentially down to 6,000 feet this weekend. So the weather could be changing abruptly here. 6,000 feet would be right about where you see the sea hill straight ahead of us with the flag on it. I don't know how that comes out on your end, but it's like right there. That's about 6,000 feet, maybe a little bit higher. So we could have snow all the way down to there this weekend, potentially, depending on how it works out. Madness right there for the middle of May. But it happens every now and then. So does anybody have any? Hey, Uncle Al's checked in. What's up, Uncle Al? How you doing? You recovered from the pandemic and your surgery, so hopefully everything's going better now. Bug Out Bubba's with us. Hey, Bug Out Bubba, how's it going? Hey, Tactical Tony. I caught some of your stream, Tony. I was going in and out. I was dual tasking. I wasn't able to watch it all the way through, so I don't know how you ended up resolving all your stuff, but I caught some of it. RG Homestead's with us. All right. Yeah, so the title of the chat there, 20D chess. Does everybody still think we're in 20D chess? Or are we just is there somebody attempting to burn everything down? Or are we playing checkers while the Chinese are playing chess? Or are we just playing a game of chicken? It seems a lot like it's a game of chicken because, on the financial situation with these tariffs against China, if you haven't been paying attention, we were tariffing like $800 billion worth of goods that were coming into America, and China just put out a tariff on like 80 billion of our goods that are going to China. So the markets reacted poorly this morning. Dropping down up to 700 the last I checked in. They should have been closed by now. I think they were at like 615 or something, or 600 down at that point. But let me see if I can pull up a current chart. Whoa, get back there. If it'll come across, say what we closed at, but nobody was happy about that. Gold went up. The price of gold went up. Down 617, I guess it closed at, which is not drastically far. I mean, it's still the Dow is at 25,324, but everybody's all skittish about the economic impacts. But there was a guy speaking with Santilli on there sometime this morning, and he was trying to say, we hold the upper hand over China, and that China can't drop their bonds, or they won't drop their bonds because that'll collapse their economy more than it will ours. And I was like, I don't know if I believe that or not. I have to look some more into that, because the Chinese are not outmaneuvered very often or very easily. And to think it's just as simple as we tariff more goods than they do and they can't retaliate, I think is short-sighted. And I think that there's a lot more markets in the world, like China's trying to open up with their Belt and Road Initiative. They've got a lot more economic expansion they can build into, whereas we have built out, you know, our economy is pretty much as far as we can go, but we can modernize, but that requires some ingenuity on somebody's part. But China's got a lot they can do, but they were saying they weren't going to sell their bonds off in retaliation. This guy was saying that we held the upper hand with the just because of the sheer dollar amount of tariffs that we put out, which just hurts the consumer in the long run. But we all know there's so much stuff we get from China that we don't need to buy as your average American, right? There's so many things we can do without that we'd probably be better off for. It'd be interesting to see how this affects things like Walmart and Target and places where you get a bunch of that stuff. It'd be interesting to see how it affects their bottom line through the year. This could have repercussions continuing, you know, as long as there's not some agreement made between now and June 1st, was when these tariffs drop, I guess, when they actually go into effect on the Chinese side, at least. Who else we got? We got Stan Holtz checking in. Chipper 66 driving down the highway. Keep the hands on the wheel. Walter says 20D, flip the board and kick the table. I don't know, it's kind of weird, Walter. It'd be kind of hard to do that. I mean, we already control the world economy with the reserve currency of the world. I mean, if we really wanted to upset the apple cart, I mean, that would do it, right? Dropping the dollar, shut down the Federal Reserve. We'd just tell the whole world, take their bonds and shove it. But I don't know if we want to do that either. That would be really bad. I don't know if we have enough leverage to pull something like that off. Rooster Cogburn has joined us. Good afternoon. Stan says China will hurt more. They need the raw materials so they can make their crap, right? But aren't there other places they can get the raw materials in the U.S.? I mean, we give them a lot of stuff. Like we talked about soybeans and stuff, they get a lot of food as well. But I'm sure they can find more willing trading partners, can't they? Maybe. China's in the recession. They have few options. Right? A lot of their problems have to do with their population, similar to us. And they're just trying to save face. Well, there's always that. They're not going to admit they're wrong, even if they are. The dollar store will be the $50 store. Right, Stan? Well, the Chinese are always going to try to save face in any outcome. Trump is hell-bent on embarrassing them, which is not good for the long game, you know, because you embarrass the Chinese, they're going to go out of their way to not make a deal in the future, or to do anything, you know, whatever. If you give the Chinese a chance to save face in some sort of deal, you know, then you can move forward. But trying to shame them and to keep one-upsmanship on them and everything, And having them lose face will pretty much make you their enemy forever, right? So then they'll just ride it out and wait till Trump's gone and go with somebody else, right? Or just start a war over Taiwan or something. Who you know? CE's with us. What's up? Hey, HRM, how you doing? West Wind Survival, afternoon. China's still down, going to get worse. Tariffs are not. Because they're going to get shot in the arm right now. Well, like Christine said too, the imports don't get the tariff until June 1st, but things that are ordered now aren't going to get here manufactured. Well, I guess some things could, but the important things aren't going to. The big, big screen TVs and everything. I don't know if they can make them that fast, can they? Rooster says we're headed for war. As far as the dollar goes, we don't owe them nothing, right? Walter says if Trump gets more quantitative easing, it will be a bankrupt Soviet Union all over again. In comparison to what, though? If you're the reserve currency, you hold that upper hand, how do you go bankrupt? When you're making everybody trade in your dollars. So everybody's going to have to bail out of that system before they, can bankrupt us, right? HR, there might be a mushroom cloud in that view. Man, that would be that'd be the very top of the mushroom cloud if you could even see it coming from San Francisco, I guess, because that's about the only way you'd get a mushroom cloud over here, I think. I mean, I guess they could nuke Carson City because, it's a state capital, but it's got so little importance. I couldn't imagine Carson taking one before many, many, many other places. Let's just hope that doesn't happen. Westwind, looking at your dining table. You got a lot of stuff you're building up there, it looked like, Westwind. That's good stuff. Wayne's got a side hustle going on. And Iran is another issue, Stan, right? And there were these Saudi tankers yesterday. These Saudi tankers that had some sort of attack, incident, fire. I don't know. The details are less than clear, but something happened. And what are the odds that happened on the up and up, right? American warehouses are full. Is that right, Walter? Well, and like it was, it'd be interesting to see an update. I mean, it was just a couple years ago when the oil prices were down in the $50 range. There were tankers upon tankers loaded up and riding around the oceans, waiting for prices to change. It was somehow more economical for them to put all that oil in storage on the ocean than it was to put it on the market. It'd be interesting to see what the status of some of that oil is since the price has been up now. We almost got to 70. We're back down now to 60, but what our status is on oil storage for all these locations. Even though, I mean, America's now exporting more than we consuming in particular. Walter says, buy American manufacturing. What are they going to make, Walter? You think they could just start overnight? They're going to start making big screen TVs? I mean, you can't just start it from scratch. I mean, you can start from scratch. It just takes years to develop, and build the build that chain here. For a lot of that stuff that comes from China. I guess there's other things like there's some durable goods that are made in America that have competition outside the country. Like you have, in particular, you have like tool brands and certain things that are used in machinery and stuff that have competition that could just up their production, right? But I'm not sure about the rest. Hey, Alicia, how you doing? Good afternoon. China has an interest in making a deal. Yes, they do, Walt, Rooster. But they also don't want to get pushed around. They don't want to show weakness. That's a big, just like saving face, they can't show weakness either. At least not, they can't just get run over. Especially with China trying to be a main player, in the world. They want to be, the largest economy in the world. They can't just bow down, and bend over. They got to put up some fight, and they're definitely doing that. I mean, that Belt and Road Initiative is very ambitious. It's a display of how ambitious they are, right? So don't underestimate them at all, I don't think. Well, Walter, I would only say that we are in better shape only that we have the reserve currency. Everything else we have in our economy is very empty and very unstable. It's not like we have this great running economy. The consumer service driven nature of our economy makes it very weak. I mean, if other than technology and things like that, that's the only thing that's going to keep us afloat potentially. Because once the big dollars go away from some of those big tech stuff, it's going to make it harder to survive. West Wing going to make custom stuff. What are you guys talking about? Naval bases and stuff? What do you got going on? I think I missed something. Anyway. Well, you guys are way down the chat. Let me check. Yeah, China can't be the bully in this, they can't bully right through this, that's for sure. And that's why the Belt and Road is more collaborative with all these countries they're getting into. They're building infrastructure for these places and establishing deals. I don't think by any means do they think they're being the bully in this deal. It doesn't seem like. All right, HRM, have a good day. We should have joined TPP, the Trans-Pacific Partnership. You think so? More leverage that way? When you're locked in a deal, how do you have more leverage? Well, Walter, and what you mentioned a good issue there. Biggest problem we have is getting more workers. If we're to build out our what's the word for it? We're building out our manufacturing, right? The manufacturing worker expects a certain income. And Americans expect a certain income. That makes building in America, that's why Americans don't have as many manufacturing, is because it costs too much for labor in America. That's why everything in Detroit is all automated almost now. Because U.S. labor just costs too much because our standard of living, because the dollar is the reserve currency and it's inflated to astronomical numbers, and there's so much of it here that it makes it unrealistic to have large, workforces doing stuff, Plus the laws and regulations that make mandatory health care and everything else that goes along with it doesn't help either. So that's why everything got shipped overseas to begin with because it was unaffordable to compete, except where you can automate. And that's the big concern. We'll get off on a rabbit trail just slightly. Automation is going to be, that's the transhumanist agenda, is automate everything and workers become useless. And that's what universal basic income is meant to replace. Is people won't work, you'll just get a basic income and there'll be no upward mobility. Everybody will be poor except for the ultra elite who are transhumanists, wanting to merge with bots and stuff. And we'll just subsist on a menial income while AI and everything makes all the future and makes all the products. You would think that's years down the road, but you know what? That could be 20 years down the road too. Not that far off, depending on how things fell out and how things progressed. Because you look at China right now, they're the ones with all the bodies making stuff. If that gets pulled back and rotated out to other places, automation takes over in other places. China, to compete, puts automation in their plants, and then you got this vicious cycle of pushing real people outside the system. You know, people are being pushed out of the economy. It's all being replaced by mechanics and AI and robots and everything. You know, just something to think about. Most businesses can't make it in China. Walter can't get guys to show up for less than 15 a day, an hour. Oh, they're collecting, you're saying they're collecting unemployment stuff, Walter? Right, yeah, you can't get on the IRS's radar for that stuff. Universal income would hyperinflate. Well, and that's why they can't just drop it all at once, West Wind. You know, it's got to be this gradual progression of AI moves in, you know, and especially if it's a controlled economy, if you get it all electronic and they manipulate it the way they want, if there's no physical cash anymore, if they get the government Bitcoin or the corporate Bitcoin like they want, they can control it much more, and it'd be less inflation, even though it'd be excessively expensive. But the money, it would basically be worthless, because if you don't work for it, it is worthless. We talked about this in another video or whatever, or I've mentioned it several times. Money that we work for now is only worth anything because we work for it. You know, the dollars in your pocket, if you have any, and the stuff in your bank account is worthless except you work for it, you know? That's a good point. It is definitely worthless. Assign everybody a debit card through banking and move dots. And yeah, that's all it is, West. That's it. Hey, what's up, Midwest Prepper? How you doing? Midwest Prepper, watch out. He's handing out grades on channels, so you might want to lay low until the teacher's gone. No, but I like that, Midwest. I liked how you, that was a good perspective. That was some good stuff. That'd be interesting to see what channels you do in the future. How that, well, the good thing is it puts people in, you know, kind of a context of how much variety they have. Are they a one-trick pony type channel? Because some channels you go to, you expect a one-trick, like you said, guns and gear. You're going to get like guns and gear, right? You know, that's what you expect. So it's good to see if people live up to their branding or not, or how that works. Yeah. Converting all your money into hard items is ideal. Oh, you're still here? I got a little overheated there. I think I was in the sun there. I think I'm gonna have to check out. A little overheated here, you know. But let's see what. Money is free. There's no energy spent. It becomes worthless, right, West? Yep. Hey, Glitchmod, what's up? 3 days. The countdown continues. Yeah, glitch. You can't do vlogs from there, I guess, huh? It'll be interesting to hear your report when you get back. Good luck, man. Stay out of trouble and just do I've been told famously way back in the day. Do as you're told. Do as you're told. Do as you're told. It makes everything else easy. So I got this in the wind to cool it off a little bit, but I'll go ahead and check out since I don't want it to necessarily heat up again. Or I guess maybe I can just do it like this. It's kind of out of the way. See how long we can hang in here. Yeah, no vlogs. Are you guys getting the wind noise? Trying to let it cool off a little bit. RG says if you talk to your great-grandparents, farm-based and industrial generation, you hear the same talk, it's going to hell in a handbasket. Well, and you think about it, RG, I mean, it did in a lot of ways because their wealth was stolen from them. I mean, your time and labor is devalued generation to generation. And we know how property rights have worked. I mean, it has gotten worse. There's been less freedom and less, control of your own property and life, which is more important than any type of, anything else. That is your wealth, Do I work at the Thunderdome? I don't know what the Thunderdome is, Westwind. I guess I don't. No, no, I don't know of anything nicknamed the Thunderdome either, so I'm good. Frank Byrne just checked in. What's up, Frank? How you doing? But yeah, I mean, RG, I think, it's perspective and how they lived and how we live. But that's what's going to make this economic transition so much worse than the last time, especially when we look at the creation of the Federal Reserve and what's happened since then. While our great-grandparents didn't have anything when the Federal Reserve was created, they just pretty much worked. They were debt-free, we are now we're very much debt slaves because everything we produce has a lien on it from the government, from the central bank, and that's how they get in these wars over, tariffs and everything. And China has bonds, all these bonds locked up, and everything else. It's all, we are. While in some means we've been given a lot of things that make our lives more comfortable. We've lost a lot of our individual freedoms and individual prosperity to do what we want. And just hey, just making a subsistence living is not bad necessarily, is it? I mean, that's what really what prepping comes down to, is being able to, when you get down to it, transitioning to a subsistence lifestyle when the time comes and all this other stuff goes away, being able to sustain and just live life, which in a lot of ways is a lot better life than all the technology and all this chatting on YouTube and everything else. Maybe if we do have however this reset works, if we can just keep YouTube around and have chats, I think we'll be happy. Hey, Long, how's it going? Afternoon. How's the water going up there, Long? I guess there's a lot of rain going on out east this week. People go for workups. Oh yeah, lots of people go lots of places for workups. I know Fallon has their deal that they do out there with the Navy. But then you got the Mountain Warfare Training Center too, south of here, that does a lot of workups for people. But I have no association with Uncle Sam anymore in that respect. Hey, Chance B, Roger, read you loud and clear. Over. Right, that's why you get the side hustle, Wayne. Well, that and the mama's the main income earner now, right? That makes a difference. RG will never be able to get that again, so I have to deal with what we can to survive. Yeah, yeah. As far as going back to that, it'd take a seriously strange event. Yeah, I agree. We talk about the reset and all these different collapse scenarios. Some people act like we're going to go back to the Stone Age in a nuclear war. Yeah, but even the most catastrophic of certain events and economic events, the worst it's going to get is the 1800s. Really, um, I don't see us going back much further than that. It would take a much more catastrophic event. Oh, you called Fallon the Thunderdome? Fallon's out west. I mean, east quite a ways. That'd be a long commute to work at Fallon. I wouldn't have this view from Fallon either. Fallon's what, 60 miles, something like that from here. Their birds fly over all the time though. I got a lot of those videos I got in. I did a helicopters a while back. I do them every now and then. I've got the helicopters flying overhead. We're on their flight paths. Their SAR guys come out and do search and rescue. A lot of different times for hikers and stuff. You'll see them fly over, and then the I don't know what they call them now, the JSOC guys. They got their special birds that fly over. You can tell when it's their bird versus everybody else's. They're always trying to go lower and faster than everybody else. Usually when they're doing their training in different venues and stuff. The Thunderdome, huh? That's funny. Neglected treasury note holders, America's insurance companies, Russia and China really don't. Interesting, Walter. Oh, driving through Virginia City? That's still a long way from Fallon, though. But there's actually people around here that do commute to Fallon, though. I know a buddy that's got a neighbor, and that's it's almost an hour commute where they live from where he lives next to him. Yeah, there's a lot of people like that. All the people showing up over here at the trailhead all of a sudden. Is that right? Is that what it was like, Wayne? Nice. Non-stop fighting the MAs, huh? Yeah, the Master at Arms likes to keep a tight ship up there. I would imagine all the different rotations coming in through there. Probably a hard gig. So you're saying, Walter, you're saying corporate insurance companies hold more bonds than Russia and China? I'll have to look that up. I know the Chinese still hold a significant portion compared to what they have had in the past. Hey, Ann, how you doing? Thanks for checking in. It's a nice picture. Yep, indeed. No, that was carrots actually, Ann. I had to move the camera a little closer to get it out of the sun. We shut down in the heat there for a little bit, briefly. We got a few minutes. Anybody else eating Cheetos out there? Tactical Tony was drinking coffee on a chat earlier today. I never knew Tony to drink coffee. I guess he's a changed man now. Yeah, bikes in his side business. Get it while you can, right? It's better than working for the man, that's for sure. Somebody bringing their dogs out. They're like ready to go. Getting paid to go to school isn't bad. Yeah, well, there you go, West Wind. Yep. That's the way to go. Well, I don't know that we reached any conclusions on if we're playing 30D, 20D chess or not, but, you know, it's all interesting part of the game when you see the different reactions the markets are having and stuff. It seems to be more sideshow to me still. It doesn't seem like it's going to build up to much. I still don't see, who was it, Angel said would be at war by the end of the year. I don't see that happening. Always have a side gig. Yeah, I haven't learned that very well. I need to work on that. That's for sure. You got to have skills to have a side gig. That's the problem. Grunt life doesn't lead you to have many skills other than ditch digging and things like that. There's not much demand for ditch digging and police calling. Right, Bikes? Bikes probably got his skills before he even got in. Got the DOT guy sneaking around here making pictures. At least you think it's a DOT guy until he proves otherwise, right? You never know with people with yellow vests, right? Yeah, I figured, Bikes. I figured you were doing that way before. It's a productive hobby in the long run. You're a smarter man than I. Well, folks, I guess we'll wrap it up. It's about the end of that time. Thanks for checking in. Yeah, we didn't reach no conclusions. Good discussion, though. Keeping our head on a swivel, keeping an eye on the ball somewhat. Not that we can figure it out, just to stay aware. Thanks for checking in. And we will talk to you guys a little later. But nice weather out here, if nothing else. All right, y'all have a good day.